evolution of sound.
Ninjas, what is up? And if you're a new viewer, hello, nice to meet you. My name is Sylenth1, and today we are starting a new series because all of you guys kept asking. You guys saw I started the series on the complete guide to mastering Sylenth1 in Spanish, and a lot of you guys that the English language wanna have the same tutorial. So I'm gonna do it. All I can ask from you guys is to hit like, leave a comment, and share it on your social medias or share it to a friend. That's all I can ask for, and I promise that I will start this series and I will finish it. Pretty much we're gonna go from oscillators, explaining every little thing in Sylenth1. Now if you're an advanced user, this is still gonna benefit you because as we're explaining stuff, I'm going to be explaining how you can use certain parameters in sound design. I hate when people explain Sylenth1, and this is not going to be one of those courses where I'm just going to read out of the manual to you guys. This is going to be how I understand it. We're going to put this down to layman terms, and hopefully by the end of all this, you can say that you're a master at using Sylenth1. Now let's get started with this. Now we're going to initialize this, and today we're going to be talking about the oscillator section in Sylenth1. Now let's put in a spectrum so I can explain a couple of things to you guys. All right, so first thing is first, let's talk about what the oscillator is. Oscillator is the start of your journey whenever you're creating a sound. It's like literally whenever you create a sound, this is where you begin, and this is because this is where you generate the first initial sound. This is like if you were painting a drawing, this is where you would pick your color, whether you want red, orange, blue, black, white, gray, some crazy ass indigo color, whatever. Okay, this is where you pick it. Okay, now we're gonna have a couple of wavetables in Sylenth1 that are available to us, and you can see this as the colors, and each one's gonna have different different characteristics to them. Now the only two ones I'm gonna talk about like in detail are gonna be the sine and the saw, so you guys can explain one thing that a lot of people get wrong. Now first off, let's explain what the sine is, guys. The sine is gonna be pretty much just literally one harmonic. That's going to be the fundamental, and the sine is literally just whatever key you're playing, whatever pitch you're playing, you're going to see a pretty much what I like to call the mountain, the fundamental in that sound, and it's going to be at a certain frequency, and the lower you go in the keys, the lower notes you play, the lower it goes, and this is how it looks like. Let's see. All right, so here you go. This is the sine wave, and it only has one harmonic. Now if you guys have ever been wondering what the hell is a harmonic, Semmel's always talking about harmonics. This is what a harmonic is. Literally, you guys see this, that's a harmonic. Now the first harmonic, which is mainly going to be the one that's going to revolve around the note you're playing, because every note's going to have a certain pitch, is going to be the fundamental, and then anything aside that is going to be the other harmonics. Okay, so the sine wave has only one harmonic. Now the saw is very rich. It's one of the most popular wavetables to use in big room and dance music. The flume saw is based on it. A lot of sounds come out of the saw wave, the Kashmir sound. It's crazy how many sounds you could create with the saw wave. And I remember back then I used to make sound banks, and it's like, come on, bro. They would tell me Samuel the saw king, because literally the whole sound bank was just a saw. I wouldn't even use the other wavetables because it's that good. Now a saw is going to have a lot of harmonics compared to the sine. Watch. Here we have the fundamental like in the sine, except now check it out, we have little mountains that are up there with it, and these are going to be the harmonics. So whenever you hear me saying, oh, distortion adds harmonics, in it does it over the top, pretty much it saturates, which is adding harmonics. It's just boosting in those frequencies. That's it. That's all it is. Okay, now the other wavetables we have available to us are the triangle, which is a very subby, you can kind of think it's like kind of like a square wave that got filtered. That's what the triangle wave is. It's good for keys. It's good for distorting and getting like bells and all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to have the pulse wave, which is a square wave. Literally, Super Mario. Next, we're going to have the half pulse and the quarter pulse, which is going to be just the pulse width really moved in the square wave. Now, what does this mean? Literally, if you guys see the image of a square, if you see it in the center, there's like this line. It's literally like boom, boom, this boom. In the Q pulse and H pulse, it moves this way. So literally, it's like boom, boom, bam, and this gets longer, this gets shorter, and that's where the variant comes. And it gets thinner. It's like if I were to talk to you guys and choke myself, yo, what's up, guys? My name is Samuel. You can see that my voice gets thinner. Same thing here. Now, The half pulse and the quarter pulse are really good for like the reveal type sound. And by the way, I'm making a sound bank for that, just a heads up. But it's good for the reveal type sound. I'll explain it in the last section of this course on making sounds, how we can use those type of sounds that are very thin to make really good big room sounds. Now the tri-saw is the next one, and it's just a mixture of a triangle and a saw. It's good for keys again, but I don't really use it that much. The ones I use the most are going to be the square, the saw, and the sine wave, okay? And finally, white noise. Sorry if I blew your ears. RIP. Alright guys, now let's move on to the other stuff. We have the volume, which you guys know is the volume of the oscillator or the sound coming out of here. Very self-explanatory. Now the phase. This one is a favorite one because no one understands it. I'm going to come out with serum, and I'm going to explain serum, you know, like the phase using serum, because serum is very visual. Now, this is a saw wave, okay? Now, the phase is the starting point of wherever you want in your wavetable, which is going to be a saw, as so. Now, if you move the phase, you're going to change the starting point, okay? Literally, all the phase says is a starting point where we're going to start at in the wave, okay? We can start at the top. We can start at the bottom. You know, we can start over here. Now, the way the wavetable moves is like this. It just keeps looping. It keeps repeating. Boom, 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 boom. And it just keeps going and going and going and going to China. And pretty much, literally, that's all it's doing. So with the phase, we get to pick where we want it. And sometimes where you pick where your phase is can determine the strong, you know, the power of the sound. A lot of the times, the higher it is, the stronger it's going to punch through. And the lower it is, the more subtle it's going to be. Because there's change happening going up. And this one is literally just boom, straight change. Bam, going straight down. Instant change, more power. Now, that's all the phase is, guys, okay? So literally, that's all it is in Sylenth1. You know, 360 is a full cycle, 180 is halfway cycle, and that's about it. So with the phase, you know, you can pick where you want to pretty much start. And if you notice, we play a saw. There's subtle changes in the sound of it, but that's about it. That's what the phase does. The next thing is the detunement. If I were to ask you, explain detunement to me, most of you guys would be like, it's the thing you make supersaws with, right? And that is correct. It is. It's good to know. See? But if you want to be like smart and tell people, hey, you know, detunement's actually this, then how do we explain it? Well, detunement literally works when there's two or more voices in your oscillator. And pretty much the way this works is like this. We're going to have, let's say, two oscillators. Each oscillator, when these two oscillators are coming out and there's no detunement, they're all playing at the same pitch. Now, when you start detuning, it's in the name, it detunes both saws at very little increments, and then you get this effect. Now, if you're like, Samuel, you're probably bullshitting me. This is how you test that theory out. One voice on this oscillator. You get a saw and put it here. One voice. And now, remember what I said. Detunement changes the pitch of both saws. Now, you don't have to necessarily change the pitch on both of them to get the effect, but you can do it, and it's good. Pretty much, we're going to use the fine here, which is very increment changes in the pitch, but very, very little. It's like literally going like this rather than boom, getting it all. And then here we're going to change it, and now hear how that sounds like. Same effect. So that's what detunement does. Now let's do this to an extreme. Let's put 8 voices and pretty much say, okay, what does detunement do there? Detunement goes to every single saw, changes the pitch. Now, all the pitches are going to be at different values. They're not going to be at the same value. One of them might be 0.01, another one might be 0.50, another one might be 0.60, but they're never going to be the same. Only like, you know, they might be the same in the sense of negative and positive, where you have 0.50 and then you have a positive 0.50 and a negative one, but they're never going to be, you know, ideally numerically the same. That's pretty much it. That's all detunement is, guys, and now you know. Now, the stereo is pretty much going to be your control to either have it stereo or be mono. Now, stereo, I always categorize it and explain it that it sounds more to the sides. So this is, you know, and mono is more in the center, and that's about it. If you're wearing headphones, you'll definitely hear it. Stereo, mono. So this lets you control that, the width of the sound. And next we go to the pan. It's pretty simple. Left, right, you know. In the last section of this course, I'll teach you how to use this to get wider sounds and pretty much how to use it strategically rather than just panning shit left and right. The next thing is the voices. I explained what the voices was. Pretty much the higher the voices, the more saws you have coming out of the oscillator. They're all coming out at the same pitch. You get a louder volume. louder volume, as you guys see. Oh my god, look at that. Look at those messages. What the fuck? Cover! Anyways, so that's gonna be the voices. Now the Rete Rig is a fun one. I used to get criticized because the way I would explain the Rete Rig is if you want punchier sounds more in the center, leave the Rete Rig on, and if you don't, turn the Rete Rig off. And pretty much that's all it is, guys. That is literally all it is. But some people that read the manual literally would tell me shit like, that's not what the Rete Rig does. So let me explain what the Rete Rig does to you guys. Pretty much, let's say our phase is at 180, right? Remember, the phase is the starting position. The Rete Rig, literally, all it does is as you play notes, you know, your saw's going ba, right? But what happens when you switch notes? Literally, if you have the Rete Rig on and you want the starting point to be here, every time you switch note, let's say ba, and you switch a note, it's going to come back to that starting point. It's always going to come back to it. That's why, you know, Serum has a section called trig mode here, and it just returns it back to the starting point. That's all it does. So pretty much, let's say we're playing a saw ba and then moving, and then we change notes, boom, it's going to come straight back there. Now, if the Rete Rig is off, then it just keeps going and going and going and going. It doesn't come back to the starting point, and that gives you a wider sound, a less powerful sound, but a wider sound. With Rete Rig on, you can see the difference. So pretty much, this is the only way I want you guys to know this. Don't even worry about what I just explained. Only worry that Rete Rig off, wider sound, and you pretty much get a more kind of not so strong sound, but you get the wider sound. Rete Rig on, you get it more in the center and more punchy. That's all I want you guys to remember. Fuck those guys who say, no, no. All right, now the next thing is the inversion here, the invert. The way to explain this to you is literally when you invert something, literally all you're doing is pretty much doing this, inverting it. So literally that's all you're doing to the saw, inverting it. It gives you a different sound, but it's not that different. You know, when you invert it, it kind of sounds like the sides went to the center a little bit. And that's about it with the invert. Now the pitch. I'm going to explain it, so hopefully you guys understand it already, but I'm still going to explain it for you guys. 1 octave up means that if I'm playing at F, let's say here, this is letting this oscillator know to play the higher F, which is up here. That's literally all it is. So check this out. Boom. +1. We're going to play that same note, and now it's going to sound higher pitched. Boom, right? Now let me put this at 0 and play the octave up. See, it's the same note at +1 here. So the octave, all it does, it lets the oscillator know, okay, I play an octave up, 2 octaves up. Or you can go negative as well, same concept. Now the note stands for seminotes. The sucky thing about Sylenth1 is that it only goes to +7, which lets us only go to the 5th of the note. So pretty much, let's say we're playing an F and we're playing the 5th. So count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say we put 7. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here we're gonna have the perfect 5th. So we're playing this note here when we're playing the F. That's all it means. So if you ever want to do this, let's say I want to play this note instead of the F, but when I play the F, I wanted to play this note because let's say I'm making a chord. Then you count 1, 2, 3. Okay, so from here it's 3. So I'm gonna put 3 semitones, and it's gonna play this one. Check it out. Back to 0. Same sound. So that's all the seminote says. Now the fine is just a change in the pitch, but it's very little, where it doesn't really fuck up much of the pitch to the point where you still stay in key, but if you overdo it, you won't be in key for that long. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it. This is the oscillator section explained. If you guys like this, don't forget to like, leave a comment, share it on social media for me, please. That's all I ask for, and I'll complete it. And I'll see you guys next time. The Kevu sound bank is out, so if you guys want to support me in any way, you guys can purchase that. It goes towards, you know, the studio. I'm actually looking to invest in a synthesizer, so hopefully, you know, the sales from that help me enough to get one. If not, then, you know, I can wait till next year and hopefully eventually get it. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and have a good one. Some X comp, some EQ, some reverb, maybe a bit of chorus, and a bit of drive, not so much, but just a tiny bit for saturation. And pretty much that's how you create faded Kanye West, the bass line. Take care.